Hey, you know those mornings when everything feels just right? The smell of bacon sizzling, kids laughing in the other room, and that first sip of coffee hitting like a warm hug. Well, mine got shattered. That crisp Wisconsin Saturday, the doorbell rang, and there stood a courier shoving a thick envelope at me, stamped "Urgent Legal Notice" in screaming red ink. I signed for it, half asleep, thinking it was some mix-up. But as I tore it open and read those words claiming Lakeview Estates HOA had seized my family's 200-acre spread, woods, fields, that little pond we'd fished since I was a kid, my stomach dropped like I'd swallowed lead. This wasn't just land. It was my grandpa's legacy, my dad's stubborn pride, and now some uppity neighborhood was trying to steal it over delinquent dues I never owed. I mean, come on. I've lived on this patch of Oakwood County dirt my whole life. It borders their fancy gated community with its cookie-cutter houses and fake waterfalls, but our deeds go back generations, taxed, separate, zoned independent, no HOA strings attached. Yet here was this slick paperwork, stamps and signatures galore, saying they'd digitally carved off my southern chunk, the pond area, the old trails, and sold it off for community upkeep violations, like overgrown weeds or that rickety shed my great-uncle hammered together in the 40s. It hit me hard, that involuntary chuckle bubbling up as I sat there staring. Because if this was real, it wasn't funny. It was war. My blood boiled, thinking about how these folks with their golf carts and board meetings thought they could just redraw lines to expand their little empire. Driven by greed, sure, but also that smug entitlement, like my wild acreage was an eyesore cramping their manicured style. By noon, I'd stormed down to the county recorder's office, heart pounding, shoving the notice at my old buddy Clara behind the counter. She blinked, tapped her keyboard, and whispered, "Alex, this was filed yesterday through some shadow title firm, Riverside Abstracts, bundling your land into their grid like a Trojan horse." That's when the chills set in. I'd seen these scams before in my real estate gigs, shell companies exploiting glitchy systems, forging transfers amid legit ones, hoping no one notices till bulldozers roll in. Driving back, I spotted their truck pulling away from my gate, fresh yellow flags flapping like taunts in the breeze and a sign staked right there, "Future Lakeview Park, members only." My phone buzzed, an unknown number. I answered to hear Karen Ellis, the HOA queen bee, purring, "Mr. Thompson, we've notified you. Time to vacate amicably. We're just enforcing standards your late father discussed with us." I snapped back, disgusted, "Dad would have torched your clubhouse before handing over a blade of grass." She cut in coolly, "Well, he's gone now, and progress waits for no one. 72 hours, or we'll escalate." Then, click. She hung up, leaving me fuming, fists clenched, vowing this ended on my terms. That night's sleep was a joke. My mind raced through outrage, betrayal, that sinking fear of losing what defined me. But come dawn, I was in my cluttered office, buried in deeds and maps from the 50s, proving our isolation from their master plan, tax stubs yelling independence. I called my GIS pal Mike, who dug deep and hit pay dirt. "Alex, Riverside's a fresh Delaware LLC run by Derek Voss, that sleaze you tangled with years back on a flip gone bad. They snuck your parcel into a bulk HOA package, metadata faked to match." "Jesus," I muttered. They'd hijacked my woods like digital pirates, all because Karen and her cronies coveted that pond view to boost their property values, masking it as community benefit while Derek pocketed fees from the fraud. I fired off an emergency injunction, raced to court that afternoon with binders bulging, facing their shaky junior lawyer stammering about historic intents and verbal agreements. The judge, sharp as a tack, shut him down flat. "Hearsay. Overlap maps you invented. Injunction granted. Freeze everything, or it's trespass." Walking out, that tiny win felt huge, but I knew they wouldn't quit. This was personal now, their power trip clashing with my roots. I wasn't defending anymore, I was plotting the comeback. Here's where it flipped. I zeroed in on that unplatted pond front 20 acres, legally mine but flexible under old Wisconsin quirks, abutting their priciest mansions with docks jutting suspiciously close. With my attorney buddy Lisa, we subdivided it into 4 sleek parcels, named all fancy like Pondside Haven or Willow Bend, and floated private offers to developers, think eco-lodges, event spots, a floating yoga deck. Nothing wild, but enough to rattle their serenity. Interest poured in. A craft brewery eyed a tasting pavilion. A film crew leased for a shoot. I made sure Karen's board got glossy memos with a note, "Love your real estate games. Try mine." Their cease and desist landed like clockwork, ranting about aesthetic harm, signed by Karen herself. I framed it, chuckling, because now the shoe pinched. Homeowners whispered panic over brunches, realizing their views came with my whims. All stemming from years of HOA bullying, ignored complaints, that festering grudge since Dad shot down their annexation bid in the 90s, calling it greed dressed as progress in the local paper. The backlash snowballed. Leaked emails showed Karen pushing Derek's shady deals to secure assets. Other victims surfaced from nearby towns with matching fraud tales. So we filed federal charges, wire fraud, racketeering, naming Riverside, Lakeview, the works. Derek got cuffed by feds mid-sentence, headlines blaring, title scammer busted in HOA land grab. Suddenly, Lakeview's elite turned inward, blogs ripping Karen for jeopardizing millions. One mansion owner, pompous retiree Victor Lang, showed up at my door, sweating. "Thompson, that sliver behind my dock, it's overlapping. Name your price to buy it back." I slid him the lease papers for the new eco-retreat going in, shrugging. "Can't sell what's rented, but sublease." "Sure, if you play nice." He stormed off, red-faced, but others followed, begging fixes, while Karen's lawyer, this slick suit named Harlan Reed, cornered me in a diner. "Endgame, Alex. We'll bury you in suits." I leaned in. "Burying's my hobby. Your offer's insultingly low. Peace was mine till you stole it." He left empty-handed. As construction hummed, drones buzzing, permits pristine, the sheriff dropped by on a noise call, eyed my docks, and grinned. "Half the county's cheering you on, bud." In the end, the judge's gavel sealed it, fraud proven, interference slammed, $8.5 million my way, plus penalties gutting Lakeview's coffers. The board suspended, a forced dissolution vote passed in a landslide amid leaked regrets over misguided expansions. I poured chunks into the land, new trails, that shed reborn as classrooms for what I dubbed the property rights workshop, teaching folks deeds like lifelines, boundaries as promises, with locals sharing war stories over coffee. My kids, beaming as teens grilled them on surveys. Karen showed up one evening, alone, voice cracking. "Alex, I pushed it for control, to fix what I broke in the community, but I was wrong. Sorry doesn't cut it." I nodded. "Your folks voted fresh starts. Build better without the gavels." She walked away, smaller. The pond whispered peace again, a heron dipping like approval. As sunlight danced on the water, I lingered, wind rustling pines like Dad's old laugh, holding the line till it holds you, teaching so others don't bleed for it. But here's the kicker that still nags me, was it justice or just vengeance, wrapped pretty? I mean, they overreached from entitlement, sure, but did my counterpunch go too far, stirring up families who were clueless pawns? What do you think? Ever dealt with HOA hell or land fights that flipped your world? Drop a comment below. Share your take on right versus ruthless or if community is worth the chains. Hit like if this fired you up. Subscribe for more real talk tales, and let's chat. Your story might spark the next.